Well, you're most welcome back to Gmodism. Here you will see one of the largest battles you have ever seen. This is the army of Gmodism's Ryujin Super Battlecarrier, made for Admiral Ryujin in the army of Gmodism, which will be facing the Gayzer by Dr. Gayzer. As you can see here, this is another really big and detailed battle carrier with lots of drones. And as we can see here, they are meeting, and the Ryujin has a cost of between 6 and 7 million, and the Gayzer has a cost of about 10 million materials. So the Gayzer has a material advantage in terms of cost. And you can see it's beautifully decorated with rainbow themes, and I must say it looks a lot like a printer. Doesn't it look like a color printer, like a, jet ink printer? I think it really does, and it looks really cool and modern, space type look. In any case, it's using a lot of packs and lasers in order to get those rainbow colors going on there. Now I think it's a lot of packs, right? We can see the lasers clearly. Now, the little weird thing about this video in particular is that I wasn't able to record it myself. No. Dr. Gayzer has kindly recorded this battle and has sent me the file. And he had to record this video in like 0.1 speed, then speed it up 10 times. So the recording took 8 hours the first time around. And he sent me a file of 2 hours, and I have sped it up accordingly to try and match real-time speed. You can see that Ryujin has the colors of the twin guard instead. That's why it's looking a little bit different, and it's dealing with the enemy here, shooting a lot of its railgun shells. And Dr. Gayzer's Gayzer drones, they are repairing each other at a high rate. I think they don't deal a lot of damage, and the Ryujin seems to be ignoring them most of the time. But if you're wondering why the game speed may feel a little bit weird, well, that's because it's sped up and sped down in a very unpredictable way, because of course From the Depth is not really adapted to have battles that are this large. Come on, Dr. Gayzer has recorded this 8 hours. They took 8 hours. This is just insane. Here we see that Ryujin's missiles are coming in there, and the Gayzer is still able to shoot them down using the lamps. I believe that the Gayzer has pretty strong lamps, but the railguns, the kinetic railguns that come from, we have a lot of packs here on the Gayzer, but the kinetic railguns that the Ryujin brings, they will just move through the lamps here. We can see the lamps trying to zap the shells here, but most of them just go through. And I'm not sure if the Gayzer is armed with a lot of era and stuff like that, but it doesn't matter, it goes through. We can in any case see we have a lot of cool features there, and look at these color cylinders there. I'm sure you see where I'm going with the printer aesthetic here, I think, and the logo looks kind of printery too. I think it's really funny. It's like a happy color printer, and color printers are not usually happy because they make you cry. Color printers usually will make you pull your hair out and your soul just die, because they are so complex, they never work, and they need maintenance more time than you actually can use them. But nevertheless, the Gayzer is giving us joy for 8 hours straight, or gave Dr. Gayzer that because he did that original recording. And as said, we've tried to speed it up to kind of match real time, and as you may understand, it's impossible to actually make it real time, like meet real time, because even though you record a game at 1/10 of the speed, like our two ships here, the Ryujin and the Gayzer, they're both carriers and they have so many drones each. It's absolutely insane. And the amount of lag that causes is just not even funny. You can see my auxiliary guns on this side is actually able to engage with the drones. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. They're doing their job here. For some sad reason, I think that my mortars are trying to target the drones too. I think they must be connected to the wrong AI. Anyways, this episode was a tiny little bit delayed too, because I needed to have time to look at it and stuff like that. Dr. Gayzer sent me this image. So he originally wanted it to be published in June, I believe, but then I realized that the photo he sent me, look at the damage here. Man. So the Gayzer's packs and laser are dealing really good damage, they really are. But the reason why the Ryujin is slightly less damaged than the Gayzer is that the Ryujin, she's relying on missiles and APS, and those are more damage per material than packs. Now, the Ryujin is also equipped with smoke, so the Gayzer's lasers won't be that much bang for the buck. And at this scale too, they are not as useful either. So the packs are probably dealing most of the damage. But in any case, I realized that the photo, no, not the video that Gayzer sent me is in 720p. So I was like, damn, I need to use a lot of weird stuff here to make this look acceptable, because I haven't regularly uploaded in 720p in God knows how many years. It's very outdated. If we put that out, there will be noticeably bad quality. So yeah, he decided that the best course of action for him was to re-export it. So here we have the new file. We can see the Gayzer is gliding graciously in here, firing its packs and lasers and stuff like that. So I think the way that lasers are shifting color, that they are alternating color using some ACB or breadboard magic, is a really cool feature. Really gives us that color blast. It's pretty cool that it's shifting color in this pattern too. I think it works really well. But as you may see, I don't know, is the packs maybe slow, or haven't they targeted in well? But you can see that the lasers are trying to target some of the drones in the air there, and I think they're just wasting their materials. The drones take a bit to take out, and there are a lot of drones, and they're not worth spending your time on. When it comes to the Ryujin, all the battle damage should be focused on that. And the Ryujin, I think the Ryujin does a better job at focusing its damage onto the Gayzer instead, because it is of course the real threat. Those small drones that are up here, you can see that the auxiliary guns that can't shoot at the main target does indeed shoot at them. And while it's taking some time to kill them, I think that the type of damage they do is so small that it's not really a threat at all. Now, a lot of the bulk of the damage, I believe, is dealt out by the missiles of the Ryujin. The missiles of the Ryujin are remote controlled, and they are also shaped charges, and they're really big, so they're hard to defend against. I guess the lamps will be able to take out lots of them, but not all. Oh, we can see the packs are just shooting through there sometimes too. The drones from the Gayzer, I don't know the drones' names, what they're called. The drones for the Ryujin, they're called Storm, Mark 1 and Mark 2. There are mostly Mark 1s there and some Mark 2s, because the Mark 2s are group leaders. Now we don't see them in screen here. Now we see the Gayzer's drones, and they're really focusing a lot of energy to repairing each other. I think they're trying to mess a little bit with the Ryujin's auxiliary guns and make them not focus on shooting at the Gayzer. But as you can see, the Ryujin is pounding on. They're shooting out our kinetic slugs, and I suspect that many of our kinetic slugs from the Ryujin are just going straight through the Gayzer here, because they're pretty high speed. They're pure railguns too, but they are pretty strong ones. So yeah, we're dealing a lot of damage. But in any case, the drones are not being taken out yet. It takes a little bit of time to do this. They're just circling on there. I think all of the Storm are out of the air by now, not sure. We have a swarm of torpedoes incoming here too. Haven't seen much under the water. We can see that the Ryujin is starting to look really battered here. We had a lot of damage on the surface all over the place here. You can see that the damage that the Gayzer is dealing is pretty unfocused. We can see all sorts of damage all over the place. So the Ryujin is looking pretty beaten up, but you can see that our turrets, all our 5 main turrets here, you can see in screen, they are still shooting, and we can also see that our huge missile turret is shifting back and forth of targets, and they're still chugging out missiles there. So even though it looks really beat up, mostly the drones have taken damage, but the Ryujin's main batteries are still online. We can see we fired another huge missile there. Now I'm not 100% sure the huge missiles are actually getting through the defenses. We'll see if we'll be able to see it there, but there we could see a really dangerous hit with some of the VLM's vertical launch heat missiles there. Well, the Gayzer's laser is lasing on, and the packs, the full rainbow colored palette packs, are still firing. But packs are not a lot of damage for your buck, so do remember that the Gayzer is a 10 million ship, and the Ryujin is only 6 or 7 millions. So the Gayzer is a lot more expensive than the Ryujin is. So even though the Gayzer is more expensive, she's relying on packs, right? And lasers. And the lasers are not able to deal a lot of damage against the Ryujin. They were able to zap out each and every of our 16 Storm drones here, but when they're trying to deal with the Ryujin itself, she's standing strong. You can see the shots are still popping in there. The packs, however, of course deal damage, but it's, as I said, it's not a lot of bang for your buck. In general, like, packs has use case scenarios that were really good, but a lot of the times packs are not worth it. There really aren't, and this can be an example of it. But of course, it could be possible that perhaps the Gayzer would have better chances of winning if it actually focused all of its damage against the Ryujin and didn't care much about those drones. Because even though that the storm drones are of course no joke, at this scale, with these big ships, they kinda also are a joke. Anyways, I really like the bulbous bow of the Ryujin. I think that was a good design. In any case, we can see here that the auxiliary guns are also trying to shoot here. I think they're targeting the Gayzer as well now. And we have the domes on top there, where it says AOG Admiral 1 Ryujin Federation. There we have the spammers. They're really blasting. I think they're spamming sabots too. So now you can see that the Gayzer, she's really beat up here. Oh, and there comes a big swarm of the VLMs there. I think those frags went straight through. We're dealing a lot of damage, that is very clear. And you can see the fast fire coming in there too. The Gayzer's lambs are still trying to combat, and a lot of the shells are taking out in the air. But of course, the Ryujin works with overwhelming tactics, and it's spraying the targets with a constant swarm of incoming projectiles, while also shooting high caliber penetrative projectiles as well. And I think one of the reasons why the Gayzer is very expensive is that it uses a lot of heavy armor. And that's a tactic that's not advisable if you want to go with low cost. Like spending a lot of materials for your armor is rarely worth it, and the Ryujin has pretty thin armor actually. At some parts it's actually more symbolic, and it uses a lot of alloy to keep light. It of course has heavy armor where it has to, but where it doesn't have to, it doesn't use it, and that's basically giving us a budget so that we can spend on dealing damage instead, which is of course the wiser course of action, as I'm trying to prove with the Gimle battleship, as you've seen too. Those battles have started and are running. Now we can't really see from videos here if is that a lot of heavy armor down there, or is it a lot of dark alloy? Not entirely sure. Now the Gayzer is a very big thick ship for sure, so it can take a lot of beating, but at that cost, at 10 million, it could be a lot larger. And the same is true for Ryujin. The Ryujin it could be a lot larger too. There we could see some really big damage where the VLMs are just going through there. We could see the frags are just flying through. Now we can see one of the huge missiles popping in there. And we can see a storm. Oh, it took out the huge missiles there. We have a storm VTOL trying to survive there. It's swishing around there in the lower right corner. But it's damaged. It's trying to regain some type of, yeah, it's still firing missiles, so it's doing something. I don't know if you can see it here in screen, but I do believe I see the tiny mecha drone from the Ryujin flying around in the air here. It doesn't have any weapons. It's only providing it's actually only providing detection. Yeah, it's pretty cool though. I really like that addition. But in any way, I will just need to say huge thanks to Dr. Gayzer for recording this and exporting it to mere 2 hours so I could work with the rest of the material to make a battle video. You can see in the middle, you can actually see the mecha suit flying around there, trying to provide targets. It's really cool. But in any case, huge thanks to you, Dr. Gayzer, for recording this. And I do really like the printer aesthetics of the Gayzer. Color printer, jet ink printer aesthetics. It looks really cool. So, There you can see that even though it is more expensive, even though the Gayzer is a much more expensive ship, it's starting to struggle with dealing damage. We can see the huge missile coming in there. We can see it in screen here. It has a black trail, and now it's sinking. So it's stopped being able to take out the huge missiles, right? It seems so. And here we can see the poor ship is actually sinking. And there we can see the extreme amount, the overuse of heavy armor. Now, Dr. Gayzer, if you want to improve your ship, I would try and do a little bit less of heavy armor, because you can spend that materials on weapon systems instead. And from what we all know in From the Depth, more Daka is better. Just go with more Daka, that's better. The Ryujin is looking really beat up here, man. You can see the landing decks. It's looking really sad. But actually, I think it is around ish 80 or 90%. So it isn't actually as damaged as it looks. It is the unfocused damage from the Gayzer that is kind of spreading out the damage and making it looking real damage. You can see here a little bit quickly on screen that the battle cruiser is at 90% still. Now, most of the drones are dead, but that is to be expected. But anyways, I'm very happy with the performance of the Ryujin here, and good game, Dr. Gayzer. Thanks for recording this, that was super amazing. And I will give a huge thanks to all of the commissioned officers in the Army of Gmodism who are helping me making videos by supporting me over at Patreon. So they will be rolling up here afterwards, and if you enjoyed this little video, well, then you should definitely subscribe to the channel and like the video. And you should also tell me in the comments that you really like the super big battles, because if you really do, well, maybe we can ask some friends to record some super big battles in the future too, because right now my computer can't really handle a battle with the Ryujin, even though I built it. Dr. Gayzer has a Deutsche Übercomputer or something like that, and it's able to handle it, even though it takes many hours to record, which is kind of insane, but it works. And having some post-processing work, having some speeding up of the video clips, you can see that we can reach a pretty decent result to actually have a battle that looks pretty darn cool. The AOG observer suit, that's the mecha suit, it's at 100% still. That makes me happy. It's still in the air. In any case, hope you enjoyed this little battle, and if you did, I hope I will be seeing you in the future too. As you can see, the Ryujin has won this battle, so with that said, I will only say one thing to conclude this battle, which is Army of Gmodism Invictus.